The Poetry of Thomas Chatterton. An Introduction. Thomas Chatterton was born in Bristol on 20th of November 1752, some 15 weeks after the death of his father. For a time he was admitted to Edward Colston's Bristol Charity School on a limited curriculum of reading, writing, arithmetic and the catechism. Although fascinated by the church of St Mary Redcliffe, where his uncle was sexton, he was liable to fits of abstraction, sitting for hours in a trance or crying for no reason. When Chatterton was 8, he was so eager for books that he would read and write all day long, and by 11 he had become a contributor to Felix Farley's Bristol Journal. He lived in thought with his 15th century heroes and heroines. The first of his literary mysteries, the dialogue of Eleanor and Hugo, was written before he was 12, and he showed it to the usher at the boarding school, Colston's Hospital, where he was a pupil, pretending it was the work of a 15th century poet. Chatterton remained a boarder at Colston's Hospital for more than 6 years. His little pocket money was spent borrowing books from a circulating library and always attempting to ingratiate himself with book collectors. His holidays were mostly spent at his mother's house, and much of that in the attic study, living for the most part in an ideal world of his own, centred on his mid-15th century imaginary world. Chatterton soon conceived the romance of Thomas Rowley, an imaginary monk of the 15th century, and adopted for himself the pseudonym Thomas Rowley for poetry and history. He imagined he would become a famous poet who by his own talents would be able to rescue his mother from poverty. Chatterton needed a patron. Many were not interested. Horace Walpole was, but discovering that the poems were most probably fake and Chatterton himself only 16, scornfully sent him away. Badly hurt by Walpole's snub, Chatterton wrote very little for a summer. Then he turned his attention to periodical literature and politics, and the London periodicals. He was frequently published, but received little reward for his startling efforts. Chatterton wrote, at Easter 1770, Last Will and Testament, a satirical mix in jest and seriousness. The will was possibly prepared so that John Lambert, the attorney to whom he was apprenticed, cancelled his indentures. His friends and acquaintances having donated money, Chatterton proceeded to London. He continued to write and publish in various styles and was paid little for his efforts. He wrote hopefully to his mother and sister and spent his first earnings in buying gifts for them. In June 1770, after 9 weeks in London, he moved from a shared room in Shoreditch to an attic in Brook Street, Holborn. He now enjoyed uninterrupted solitude and could write all night. The romance of his earlier years revived, and he transcribed from an imaginary parchment of the old priest Rowley his excellent ballad of Charity. This poem, disguised in archaic language, he sent to the editor of the Town and Country magazine, where it was rejected. A neighbouring apothecary repeatedly invited him to come for dinner or supper, but he refused. His landlady, also suspecting his necessity, pressed him to share her dinner, but in vain. She knew, as she afterwards said, that he had not eaten anything for 2 or 3 days, but he assured her that he was not hungry. In August 1770, while walking in St Pancras churchyard, Chatterton was much absorbed in thought and did not notice a newly dug open grave in his path, and subsequently tumbled into it. His walking companion helped Chatterton out of the grave and told him that he was happy in assisting at the resurrection of a genius. Chatterton replied, "My dear friend, I have been at war with the grave for some time now." On 24th of August 1770, Thomas Chatterton retired for the last time to his attic in Brook Street.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?